Hello and welcome to the channel again. So today we have a very special guest. His name is Anatoli Sanko. He's a colleague from work, and he will tell a little more about himself, but I can share a little of his background. Let me just share over here quickly. So you see, we have over here that he has some certifications and some trainings around Kanban, a lot of them actually, some around scaled professional Scrum from scrum.org. And he's also an expert in SAFe. As you can see, he has a lot of certifications in SAFe, also some in LESS, Agile Health Facilitator, SPC. So this guy knows his stuff, right? Management 3.0. So, with that said, with that very brief introduction, I will let in Anatoli. Hey, Anatoli, how are you doing?
Um, Hey Hector, I'm fine, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, could you tell me a little, Anatoli, who is Anatoli? Just a 2 or 3 minute explanation of who you are, what you're doing nowadays. Right?
hmm okay, so maybe I can start from the beginning in my IT career. I started my career more than 30 years ago as developer, support engineer, after that. I switched to different managerial topic. So some period of time I mixed engineering managerial stuff, but more than 15 years I focus more on different managerial roles, like managing people, projects, accounts, maybe my first acquaintance with Lean Agile was somewhere 2006-7, and since that year I've been working in different environments, but anytime try to apply different practices. Right now I'm more focusing on different agile topics, agile consultancy, agile coaching, and help teams, projects, accounts in their agile journey. By the way, I missed it. So I'm located in Minsk, Belarus.
Hmm.
So it's in the center of Europe, let's say between Poland, Russia, Lithuania, and Ukraine. So not many people
Wow.
knows where Belarus is located, and it's the easiest way to explain how to find the Belarus on the map.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Anatoly. So, Anatoly, normally we don't, we don't start studying at university or whatever, planning to be an agile coach, right? Or planning to be an agile person. When did this idea of being an agile coach and start to understand about agile concepts, etc.? When did that came to the picture in your life?
hmm good question. So you see, I have a good experience with, we can say it like waterfall approach or classical management approach. And main issue with such approach that you can present results only at the end. And in many cases, it's too hard or even impossible to change something. So I remember my first project, we tried to deliver some accounting functionality to one of the largest plant in Belarus, and we were requested to change some colors. And to be honest, we were firstly surprised why we needed, because there were no such requests. Moreover, it took a long time for us to change it, so it was not so easy. And
Mhm.
maybe at first time, like about 30 years ago, when I noticed that there are issues with some approach, and I tried to find different ways how to improve it. And to be honest, I didn't use any kind of word like agile, lean for such activities, but it was a goal or idea to get earlier feedback, just to
Mhm.
understand how things are going, and get feedback not from manager because yeah, so probably manager will say okay, we are going according our schedule, but get feedback from people who potentially will work with such product or such functionality. It's one thing. Another thing, so you see, uh, anytime we implement something, we try to do it with a lot of assumptions. But assumptions is something that is not real fact. And there were a lot of cases when we failed with our assumptions. So we imagined something in our mind, and as a result, we failed. And you see, such feedback, late result, and assumptions. It was something that led me to understanding that something should be changed. And
Mhm.
my first acquaintance, as I mentioned, with Agile, it was some Agile workshop, Scrum workshop, let's say Agile Scrum workshop. It was somewhere 2006, 2007. And right after that, we decided, yeah, that it's good time to think and apply some of these practices on our project. So we try to practice Scrum, but you see,
Mhm.
it also was time when a lot of people tried Scrum and failed with them. So it was, let's say, era of Scrum no. So not like we have Scrum and we try to add something to improve, etc., etc. It was, let's say, time when we tried to make some kind of excuse. Okay, would like to run Scrum, but something we cannot apply because you see a lot of excuses, and we try to get Scrum no. Not the best approach, but you see, it was some kind of first attempt. And talking about lean agile practices, so I was lucky. I joined one account, and to be honest, it was time when I had already some experience in Scrum, in Agile, maybe less with lean practices, but I participated in a really large scaling product, about 20 Scrum teams, and Agile and Scrum practices were mature. Sorry, so it was situation when I studied how to run, let's say, the best practices following Scrum. There were no let's say, scaling framework. We
Mhm.
tried to use Scrum of Scrum, and yeah, it was first time, so it was somewhere 2010, 11, when I tried first time real scaling. So it was custom based, but we developed a good product, and still we work with such clients.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's more than 10 years together.
Nice. Okay, thanks for sharing. Um, So, Anatoly, we were when I was introducing you into the channel, I was looking at some of your certifications. If you had to do them, if you have to pick one of them, the one that you would say this one is the one that I learned most of from, right? Which one would you recommend to the persons looking at us, thinking about what certifications to take?
Hmm. Yeah, interesting question. So you see, I started with two certifications. These certifications were Scrum Master. First one was Scrum Alliance. So I attended some course and passed certification. And it was because there were some requirements from client, and we agreed, okay, I need it. But maybe the first important certification, when I decided that I have to pass exam. So, and it was Scrum.org certification for Scrum Master. And why it was important for me, because it was like first time when I decided, okay, so probably I need to check my knowledge. theoretical knowledge, because okay, I mentioned that there were a lot of Scrum no failures, and it's good to understand what is the best, how we can follow Scrum, and exam looks something that will present at least my understanding, my knowledge. And talking about certifications, you see, it was first time when I tried to understand what is the difference between certificate of attendance, when you just attended and that's it. So it was a certification from Scrum Alliance and certification of knowledge. When you pass some exam, when you need to check different situations, provide your answers, and it's yeah, more valuable. And I'll say that it was some kind of a trigger for me to keep balance between practice and between knowledge, because you see, I'll say that knowledge without practice is nothing, but vice versa, practice without good knowledge, understanding why we are doing in such way or in different way. So this balance is something that I try to keep in my mind, also follow in my career, and try to explain people why we need it. Because you see, usually people try to say like it's black or white, but wife is somewhere in the middle. It's usually gray, so we cannot say that black is good or bad, or white is good or bad. Usually corner cases are bad, and we need to think to keep some kind of balance between black and white.
Yeah, totally agree. You start life thinking that everything is black or white, right? And on the way, you
Yeah.
learn that there's a lot of grays, right? Okay, awesome. So, Anatoly, for the person starting in Agile or that do not understand what the hell is Agile, how would you define to the audience what is Agile?
Hmm. Yeah, you see, so I don't like word sell in such case. So buy-in probably is better phrase. But when we talk about agile, is good to understand why it's beneficial not to me, but to person who you talk to. Because anytime, like I'm a manager, I would like to do something. Okay, so potentially you'll see some benefits for you as a manager or as a business, etc. But talking about usual people, engineers. So why we need it, and I presented my understanding, my journey about these things. And one important thing that I noticed, so you see, people are more interested in the result of their work if they understand who are consumers of their services and their goods. And
Mm-hmm.
usually, so classical approach keep people who produce goods or services too far from people who consume. So like producers and consumers are too far from each other. And
Mm-hmm.
agile approach help us to keep these people as close as possible. And it means that you implement something, you can get feedback from people who will use it. And from my point of view, it's most beneficial way of communication, any type of work. So you're not just doing something and switching it over the hands. You understand why this or that stuff is needed. And from my point of view, it's the best thing that we can get with lean agile practices. So you do perform some kind of activities, work, etc., and you can understand who are consumers, and you can get feedback and understand, okay, is it good or bad, or the best understanding why it's considered as bad or good. Because otherwise, when you're too far, so okay, you're doing something and you cannot understand what are results, and you cannot understand why these services are not used at all or in high demand. But such connection helps us to understand it.
Got it. Thank you. Nice way, very nice way of seeing it. I agree with the approach. And so once now that we have defined agile, what would be or what is the role or the accountability or the mission of a good agile coach, right?
Hmm. So you see, uh, It probably my personal opinion attitude to such words, but talking about managers, we have a lot of additional words like account management, project management, delivery management, etc. And the same situation with coaching. Let me provide example with managers and engineers. Managers, from my point of view, are the best people to transfer problem to some task.
Mhm.
So you see, and engineers are the best people to work with, I don't know, some tasks. So, and this transformation is good for managers. And talking about coaches, I think that the best approach that manager should or can could follow is to be a coach. So to be like servant leader, or to be facilitator. It's like helping head for your people. So like help your people to provide the best services, the best goods. And this coaching approach is, from my point of view, is specifically approach. So maybe it's not even a role. It's some kind of activities, how people can help other people to produce the best results. So you see, I cannot do everything by alone. So talking about scale, talking about enterprises, and yeah, my focus for last years is enterprises. Definitely, there are a lot of people, and fortunately or unfortunately, you cannot do everything by yourself. You need to think how to do it in large group of people. And such approach like mentoring, coaching, etc., etc., it's different things how to help others to use, let's say, their brains, their minds, not just following some directions. Okay, please go to the left, to the right, etc., but think and decide on their own which activity or which action will produce the best result.
Got it. You mentioned about implementing or transforming a company into agile, right? Um, when choose one of the biggest decisions that you have to do when you're doing this is to choose the right framework, right? How would you choose if you go to a company and you're doing a transformation? How would you? What would be the criteria to select either maybe let's say the most famous, right? Scrum or Kanban. How would you choose that, Anatoly?
Mhm. So to be honest, I consider this question as really bad and incorrect question. Yeah, I'll explain. I'll try to explain it to you.
Mhm,
I try to consider myself as, let's say, framework agnostic person.
mhm,
So I don't like to focus on framework, because you see, in case you like to implement Scrum, you will implement Scrum, the best Scrum, but potentially it will not solve issues or problems that your customer, your client have. And I try to say that. So probably it was like several years ago. I tried to say, okay, framework should go like on second or third place. Right now,
mhm,
I usually say that framework or question about framework will go like on fifth or sixth place. And first several places should be about understanding of problem that you're going to solve. So you see,
mhm,
in case no problems, okay, why we need to change something? What is the reason? So
mhm,
just to spend money, do you really need it? I don't believe so. So we need to understand what is the driver or stressor in terms of Kanban. What kind of stressor you have, and only based on it you can understand about necessity of any change. One more thing.
mhm,
So usually you see, talking about Kanban, there are at least three steps: stressor, reflection, active leadership. So stressor means, okay, something hurts us, and we think that we need to apply some kind of change.
mhm,
And reflection means that we have to understand what hurts exactly us. Okay, and in case we understand it, maybe we'll say, we don't need any change. So we have understanding why it's not the best way or not effective way, but we consider is as the best one in current environment. And that's it, you see. So you will stop any kind of change. Another thing, like act of leadership means that someone should drive this change. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you know that something hurts you. You know that we need this change, but in case we don't have a leader, a person, or people, like bunch of people on different levels who will lead this change, nothing
Mm-hmm.
will happen. And you see, framework, it's a question about, I'll say, tooling. But
Mm-hmm.
tooling, it's something that can be applied later. So we don't need to select any kind of tool, like following agile principles, individuals in directions over processes and tools. You can select the best tool, like, I don't know, Eclipse idea, but your code is .NET. How to use Java tool for .NET, I don't know. And the same situation with the framework, because
Mm-hmm.
you see, you can understand what you need or why you need, and probably based on it, you can decide where to apply this or that framework. Because a bunch of frameworks can be combined together and will work perfectly. And you see, focus still should be on business needs. So
Mm-hmm.
why we need it for our business, not just okay. So let's implement fancy framework and that's it. In like most cases, it will not solve anything. You will just spend your money. Yeah, you can present it on some kind of conferences, how we applied it, etc. But will it answer about? Will it provide any answer about your business goals, business needs? I don't know. So, and firstly, you should focus on business needs, business questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just answered some of my other questions around agile transformations. Um, so still, I would like to know your point of view. Not, and I agree with you, right? There's a lot of other things that are more
But
important than
you see,
just
sorry for
keeping a
interruption. I can explain based on previous answer how to choose Scrum or Agile. So you see, I try
Scrum or
to
Kanban, right?
yes, Scrum and
Yeah.
Kanban. Yeah, I try to apply as minimum as possible challenges. So like
Mm-hmm.
minimize number of challenges per time. And
Mm-hmm.
you see, in case you have Scrum right now, okay, let's try to improve your Scrum.
Mm-hmm.
In case you have Kanban right now, okay, let's try to improve your Kanban and think how to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, Scrum and Agile frameworks are mostly revolutionary. So when we introduce some kind of revolution, Lean Kanban approach, they are more evolutional based. And I prefer to do step by step evolutionary change, not to implement a lot of things at once, because it
Mm-hmm.
will be a lot of stress to people, to organizations. In case we apply things one by one, potentially it will be better for people, for organization, rather than change everything from the scratch. So you see, you know about J curve. So any kind of revolution will move you down. So will move down your services, and any new revolution will make the following. So unfortunately, you cannot return back to the top. And okay, so better to review or what help us with our duties, services, etc. And you see, applying a lot of change at time means nothing. So you see, potentially some change will provide some pros, some other provide some cons. Summary will be zero, and you cannot understand what is the best for you.
Got it. Got it. It depends, right? So for the persons looking at the video and saying, "Well, I kind of know Scrum, but I don't know exactly what's the difference between doing Scrum or Kanban." Could you mention some of the biggest difference that you've seen in the two frameworks?
hmm Okay. Maybe one difference that is not seen on the top of this approach. So there are a lot of synchronization in Scrum. So we
Mm-hmm.
try to commit to many things at the same time. Just an example. Talking about planning, we commit to take something to our backlog. It's one commitment. we commit to deliver the same stuff till the end of iteration, another commitment. And we'll talk about more and more commitment that we try to keep in Scrum. Moreover, a lot of things are synchronized. So you see,
Mm-hmm.
we synchronize our start of iteration or sprint, end of sprint, and yeah, a lot of such things are fixed. And from my point of view, there are a lot of issues with early fix. So you see, when we compare classical approach with agile approach, main difference is that we try not to fix a lot of things beforehand. So
Mm-hmm.
classical approach, we fix all requirements. So they're fixed and we cannot change this. After that, we fix our architecture, etc., etc. And talking about such synchronization, talking about a lot of such commitments, we fix
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things. Talking about Kanban, we synchronize a lot of stuff. And there are a lot of flexibilities that you can apply. So just to compare it with the Scrum. So we have some kind of commitment point, and that's fine. We just commit that something is we need to implement because business says that we need it. In Scrum, we have a lot of excuses like definition of ready, other stuff that we try to apply. So it's not from Scrum framework, but we try a lot of such stuff to block flow, to block flow of value. In Lean Kanban, we try to proceed or not stop flow. And okay, business need it, that's fine. So we accept it, but we commit just to take it into implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Delivery, it's absolutely different part, and we try not to fix it in, I don't know, like 1 week, 2 week, etc. So we have absolutely different approach when we commit to delivery. So we have different, and moreover, frequency of plan replenishment. So it's called replenishment in Kanban. In frequency of delivery can be different. So they are not synchronized at all. And we can talk about a lot of such flexibilities. And you see, in most of cases, such flexibilities are too hard to understand. People
Mm-hmm.
like to start with something more predictable, easy to understand. And Scrum is the best thing to start with because a lot of things, yeah, clear, like 2 week delivery. You try to put enough stuff to deliver it, but
Mm-hmm.
you even can check scrum.org. There is additional guide Kanban for Scrum teams. So it's not from Kanban University, for example, but from Scrum. So we try to improve our Scrum process with different Kanban practices, Kanban metrics, etc. So we start with something that is easy to understood, potentially easy to implement, but it's not easy. You know, I believe, yeah. But after that, we can apply a lot of Kanban lean practices to improve our delivery. And talking about, let's say, flexibility is a hard thing. You need to understand a lot of why it cannot be asynchronous, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the Scrum, yeah, much easier for anyone. So you understand these, inspect and adapt, early feedback, etc., etc. So you understand a lot of such things. After that, you can improve your process. Mature people can start with Kanban, but you see, you need some time to become mature enough to start it. To start with it.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Anatoly. Okay. So you mentioned a lot the term lean, right?
Mhm.
There may be persons saying, "Well, what's lean?" Right? Could you describe your definition of lean?
Mm, Good question. So you see, uh, probably it will be not definition about lean. Maybe it will be a difference between agile and lean. So
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was also like my opinion that agile means some kind of umbrella for all kind of lean agile practices.
Mhm.
But right now, I'm sure that we can draw two axes, like one axis agile, another axis lean, and we
Mhm.
can say where we are we more agile, more lean, etc., etc. And talking about enterprise, you see, I believe that most of enterprises are lean organizations rather than agile. So we try not to ruin our business. And you see, talking about agile approach, it's more revolutionary approach. And we introduce new roles, new stuff, and lean when we try to apply something and can revert back. So it's main difference between lean and agile practices. So applying agile, usually we go in this J curve. Applying lean approach, we try to make change as some kind of evolution. And main difference, we can let's say reply back. So we can apply something and after that revert back. In many
Mhm.
cases, it's not so easy talking about enterprise or even small organization, but potentially it's the main difference between lean and agile. So there are a lot of things that are common, but a lot of things that are different between lean and agile.
Got it. Thank you. Anatoly, I was looking at your certifications and you have a lot of safe certifications, right? But now that we're talking, you tell me that you're not very focused on frameworks, right? That you have probably learned a lot of them, but then
Hmm.
come up with a flexible mindset, right? So there are many persons or leaders that think that safe, when you implement it in a company, they lose agility instead of winning. What do you think about how could we? And I have been in a conversation like this one a few days ago, and this there was a guy, a very experienced guy, saying safe is not agile, right? How could I
Hmm.
defend it? I mean, I don't know safe that much in order to defend safe and tell him it is agile. I mean, it will depend how you implement it, etc. Maybe, but how would you defend safe versus this thinking?
Hmm. You see, first time when I saw safe presentation was somewhere 2012. It was
Mhm,
2.0 version. First, my work with the client was 3.0. It was somewhere 2013-14 when we tried to apply it, but still it was more like practical usage.
mhm,
And first certification was in 2016. It was 4.0 version. And
mhm,
talking about that time, I'll say that my understanding was absolutely the same. So it's a heavy framework. It's more like classical management oriented rather than lean agile. But my short answer to people who say that SAFe is not lean agile, please just go to some training, um, got some knowledge. And the best I think for such people is not just attend leading SAFe. Maybe SPC, SAFe program consult training. So it's not the easiest one, to be honest. But probably after that, you will get some kind of understanding why SAFe can be considered as lean and agile framework. And right now, I usually try to say, okay, so it's not my goal to prove anything. So you see, there are a lot of stuff developed by Scaled Agile Inc. organization that are part of this framework, and a lot of
mhm,
stuff that is considered as effective and part of different frameworks or different approaches, even not lean agile, but they are effective on the market. And you see, in such case, we can say like money talks. Because these practices are used for many cases, and SAFe just tries to organize them in some framework that can be applied to enterprise level. So you see, comparing different frameworks and SAFe, they try to see picture in a bit different way. So talking about, I don't know, less Nexus, Scrum at scale, we try to scale from one team. And usually recommendation is to start your scaling when you have at least 3 teams. But all these frameworks have limitations in number of teams. Talking about SAFe, we talk from top to bottom. So we check, okay, are you enterprise? Yes, okay, you can apply it. Do you like to skip lean agile practices? Yes. Okay, we have answer to you. So you see, there are a bunch of differentiators. First, safe tries to be applied to any large organizations, any scale. Okay, you have 1,000 team, that's fine. 1 million employees, okay, it's also fine. But it's not applicable for other frameworks. Talking about part of organization or vendors, suppliers that cannot be lean agile, by different reasons. So that cannot be part of other frameworks. Safe allows it. So there are some approach how to add such a part of organization or suppliers, vendors to it. And there are different things that you can organize together to deliver value. And you see, there are two corner cases. Let's compare situation about 10 plus years ago. So there was idea that having agile teams is enough to make your business agile. Right now we have opposite idea. So like another corner case from white to black or vice versa. So you don't need agile teams at all to make your business agile. Talking about safe, they try to keep such kind of balance. So they focus on agile teams on low level. They focus on different agile teams on other levels, like agile release trains, team of teams, or large solution. It's also organization of different type of agile teams. But they also would like to focus on business agility and focus not only on the development operations. They try to say that, okay, the whole business should be lean agile. Okay, so you have accounting department, you should be lean agile as well. So you cannot stay in classical and phase gate approach. The same for budgeting, finance, etc., etc., etc. So HR practices. Okay, colleagues, you cannot so you cannot get agile business without applying lean agile practices on different levels. So, and yeah, talking about safe, you can find a lot of such things. And you see, they try to add more and more lean agile related things to their library. And to be honest, I decided that I don't need to prove to anyone that safe is the best. Moreover, I try to do it a bit different during my training. So, colleagues, you see, there are a lot of stuff that were not developed by safe at all. So do you believe that they can bring value and to make you more effective? Okay, that's fine. Let's remove word safe right now and just understand that it's effective. After that, you can check, okay, so it's safe training. After that, you see, such blocker will be easier to remove. So removing safe from the beginning. So like usual approach, we'd like to introduce agile, Kanban, etc. Okay, let's remove these words. Let's try to present something, check results, and after that, colleagues. So it's part of, I don't know, Scrum, Kanban, safe, etc. So is it effective? Do you have more value right now? Okay, just accept it without such buzzwords.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you. Anatoly, what would be an ideal? I don't know. Let me rephrase it. How would you describe an ideal agile coach? What soft skills, hard skills? How would you describe it?
Mhm. Okay. You see, still I'd like to refer to managerial duties, roles, and coaching. So,
Mhm.
and talking about scale, so my focus is more on scale on the enterprise, and you cannot apply anything without power. So you see, you should have some kind of power to at least make a decision that we have to implement something in organization. And the hardest thing to any kind of leader manager is to empower your team, or how it's called in safe, focus on intrinsic motivation. So you see,
Mhm.
the best approach that you can follow is to explain to people that your ideas is their ideas.
Mhm.
and let them forget that it was your idea. Even don't mention it that it's like mine, etc. So the best when they think that it's their idea. So it's the
That's
best.
what you should also try with your marriage, right? With your wife.
You see, it's a bit different situation because it's not a business at all. And you see, marriage and business, I believe, are opposite things.
Yeah,
It's better not to
yeah, exactly.
mix them. Yeah. But
Mhm.
still, talking about management, talking about coaching, the
Mhm.
best is to bring idea that people will think that it's their idea, not yours.
Mhm.
It's the
What
best.
would be awesome? What would be like the difference on the accountabilities or the positions or the role between a Scrum Master and Agile coach? Where is the line, right?
Mhm. Good question. So I think it's good to present some examples from IT stuff as well.
Mhm.
So it's clear that engineers, developers, QAs are the best people who can implement something, like produce value. But okay, talking about big organization or big products, we need to think about something that will align us, architecture, design, etc. And this difference, like engineers and architects, is good presentation for agile coach and scrum master. So talking about architecture, these people should think how all things should be organized together, uh, just to work and provide our services good smoothly. And engineers are the best people who can implement it. Talking about coaches and scrum master, it's approximately the same situation. So coaches can help with different cultural approach, different things, and scrum masters are people who work on the ground, who can implement, and they definitely should be hands-on. Talking about architects and engineers, I do believe personally that good architect should be able to implement, just to present,
Mhm.
okay, not only proof of concept, but also can be part of delivery implementation team. And from my point of view, good agile coach can stay and take scrum master responsibilities for some period of time, just to present how it should work, present best practices. And talking about this difference of responsibilities, it's a bit different angle of view.
Mhm. Got it. Okay. So for me, one of the differences, maybe I can share a little, is that if you're jumping into trying to transform a waterfall company, for saying it some way, into an agile company, and let's say that you're starting to let's say that you already did the business analysis and the
Hmm.
goal and everything, and you decided that they should start doing Scrum, right? Let's put it that way. You will not bring if there are 10 teams, you will not just bring 10 scrum masters. You will also bring agile coaches to start with this. You could call it sprint zero. I don't like to call it like that way, but let's say the inception or whatever, right? So
Hmm.
setting up the teams for success, giving the workshops about what's going on, what's agile, what is scrum, etc. So this activity is more for an agile coach versus a scrum master, right? So just with that context, what do you think? The next question would be, what do you think that should be included in that inception sprint or in that preparation? What workshops or you have participated in agile transformations? What do we need to make sure that the teams know, right?
So you see, one thing that I believe that all activities that should be done should be part of your backlog. So it means that you can name it in different ways. So I don't like sprint zero as well, but
Mhm.
it just first sprint, and we need to understand what value we would like to deliver. So what goal, value, etc. So even we can forget about Scrum Guide because goal was introduced several years ago, but we have some cadences from 1 week to 4 weeks, and
Mhm.
we would like to deliver some kind of value. And okay, so we know nothing about Scrum, about Agile.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fine. but we are business and we need to deliver some value to our clients.
Mhm.
And such movement to agile will go in iterative way as well. So we can introduce some more theoretical things like workshops, trainings, etc. But we cannot skip any kind of value delivery activities. So we can potentially balance them to have limited backlog items for client value, but still it's a question about balance between new things that we would like to bring to the process and value that we would like to deliver. And this balance, let's say, all activities related to education, workshop, training, etc. And another corner case, you see black and white, and another corner case when we have only items that are required by our clients is not the best. So anytime we need to think about this balance. So even following Scrum, we should add some action items for process improvements, delivery improvements, etc. And the best is give it a try. So not spend a lot of time planning. Okay, so you'll spend the whole life with planning with zero results. So okay, so let's start today. Let's plan some kind of activities for educational purposes, for delivery purposes, and to agree length of our cadence. Will it be 1 week, 4 weeks? It's up to you. You can even can agree 2 months, and you will see after that. Okay, it's too far. We forget what we agreed to deliver at the beginning. So maybe make it shorter.
Got it.
And when you start with a small, like 1 day cadence or 1 week iteration, later you'll decide, okay, it's too small. Maybe let's do it a bit longer. And anytime you see, you try to practice, you try to get results, you analyze your results, and to try to produce more value, better value at the end of next cadence, next iteration sprint.
Got it. But it looks like you're proposing that we educate. We have these sessions in parallel with keeping the delivery, right? That's part of it.
Yeah. And you see, I don't believe in long educational sessions. So you
Mhm.
see, we can go for a month for I don't know, some training workshop, and still talking about business. You see, there is some period of time when you study at school, university, etc. Yeah, it's good to get some level of knowledge, some level of understanding. But at some period of time, it's good to practice, so to apply your knowledge and to get experience. And later it's still a kind of balance between knowledge experience, and yeah, it's up to you how to deal with it. So potentially, yeah, you will take longer courses, but I don't believe that the whole business will take it.
Got it. Okay. Anatoly, I know that you have participated in many transformations. Which could you give me or share with the audience three reasons why a transformation fails?
Okay, so you see, Uh, I think firstly it should be good to understand what it means transformation fails,
Mhm.
because in some cases you see we implemented Scrum, the best Scrum, but we consider it failed because we are failing with our delivery. So
Mhm.
we didn't resolve business issues that we had, and it's one kind of problem. And definitely focusing just on framework is not the best that you can do. It's
Mhm.
one thing for such failing. Another thing, you see, so you should think about some kind of predictability, about predictable results. One example, teleport to Mars is something that you can imagine. Moreover, you will see a lot of people who would like to pay you money, but there
Mhm.
is no technology. And in case you think about some imaginary situation that cannot be realized based on current technology, current environment, it's also some kind of fail, because your goals cannot be realized with current level of knowledge. It's also another thing. And you see, uh, one more issue with any kind of transformation, when you forget about your initial goal. It's
Mm-hmm.
potentially one problem. So you would like to decide something. Another thing, when you decide not to review your goal at all. So you see two opposite values. So you can start with some change, and okay, you're focusing on change and forgot the reason why you started it. And after that, okay, what we have, so we cannot understand are we good or bad. Another thing, so you have your initial goal, so you would like to create even such teleport to Mars. Okay, that's fine, but you can after that review it and understand, okay, potentially I don't need teleport to Mars. And you see there are a lot of competitors right now with the cheapest ticket to the space. So you
Mm-hmm.
see, you can compare. So, for example, a ticket to space station is about $100 million. It's one
Mm-hmm.
price. Talking about other ships, it's much cheaper. So even cheaper than 1 million. And we can see such competitors. Okay, so initial goals was to implement teleport to Mars. We realized that it's not possible. Okay, we can change a bit our goal and try to produce something that will be still variable to our customers. Okay, not Mars. Okay, or how to think about just space. So like 100 kilometers from the Earth. Next step, okay, what about moon? What about other things? You see, still step by step decision. And forgetting about initial goal, or changing your goal a lot and not reviewing it, it's also fails. But when you have goal, when you try to review it on regular basis and understand what is beneficial, what is not, I think it's the only case when you will be successful. And one more important thing, so first time I read it maybe more than 10 years ago. So you see, when we talk about success, no one cares how many fails you had before. Like thousand old fails, but no one knows about it. People talk about just one success, but in most
Mm-hmm.
of cases, there were a lot of fails. And you see, we're talking even fail fast,
Mm-hmm.
fail fast to get a good result.
Got it. Thank you. Anatoly, for those young persons that are looking at this conversation and they have just heard about Agile, they have just heard that there's something called Scrum or Kanban or less Nexus, Safe. What would you tell them? Like, if you put yourself in their shoes, which materials would you start learning from? Which training would you take? How would you do it if you had to do it all again and get to your knowledge that you have right now, or keep learning? How would you start learning about safe? Not safe, sorry, about agile. That would be the question.
Hmm. Hmm. So you see, Uh, so it looks like I have a long journey with Agile, maybe not so long as I would like to have, but still it's more than 15 years. And I still have something in my to-do list. So I had the idea to get PMI, PMP certification.
Mm-hmm.
And you see about the initial idea. So 10 years ago, we will be able to say that it's classical management. Right now, they bought discipline agile. Majority of trainings provided by Project Management Institute are agile based. And I'll say that world is changing. And to be honest, I cannot say what is the best to start with. And I'll say that the best is to review where you are currently. So, like, what is your current duties? What type of frameworks, practices are applied on your work. And the best is to start reviewing these activities, these practices, these principles, to understand them. And because otherwise, you see, it will be hard to change anything. So talking about any kind of change, the best that we can start, so as it stated in Lean or Kanban, start from the situation where you are right now. And you should understand why you need to change something. And you should understand the way of delivery, the way of working. And doesn't matter, are you following lean agile practices or classical practices. You see, still there are a lot of activities that cannot be done in agile or lean way. So unfortunately, we cannot build any kind of factory or house without a classical approach, because there are a lot of steps, and these steps cannot be changed, and these steps should be followed. Moreover, they have a long period of time, and you cannot skip it. Talking about public business, the same situation. There are a lot of rules that cannot be skipped. And I cannot say that lean agile is something like, I don't know, silver bullet. So people think that classical triangle will be broken by lean agile approach. It's not true. You see, lean agile practices, principles are something that will help you in your delivery. That's it.
Mm.
So it's like tool, like screw. And if you don't like this one because you cannot see any value, you can change it to another one. And
Mhm.
from my point of view, the best is to start with your current situation. After that, it's good to understand, okay, what will be good to implement, apply, etc. And I still think that it's good to have a mix of skills and knowledge, classical management, agile, lean, etc., etc. Because there are a lot of good things. Moreover, a lot of things are, I don't know, developed second, third time with different names. But you know, usually new things are something that we forgot some period of time ago. And still, yeah, I can explain my journey, agile journey, but I don't believe that it's the best that can be applied for everyone, because it's like my personal journey with a different approach, with different frameworks, practices.
Got you. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. A couple of more questions before wrapping it up. Um, wait. So, actually, the next question what is the biggest myth around agile? But would you think that that's one of the biggest myths that you can share around agile? Like thinking that agile can fix everything, or do you have any other myth that you want to share?
Hmm. Oh yeah, you see, the biggest myth I just shared. So it's we have classical triangle. Moreover, we have fourth element, quality, in the center of it, and agile or lean myth mean that we can break it. So, and it's a silver bullet that can solve a lot. I think it's the biggest myth that we can talk about lean agile. Another thing, you see. Talking about myth, I'll say that it's not related especially to classical management or classical triangle. There is some kind of myth that one practice, one framework can be applied in many different cases. So you
Mhm.
see, still I consider lean agile as some kind of screw. So in case one doesn't work, please apply another one and change. So you can practice, check results, and after that decide, okay, if it works, that's fine, let's keep it. Not work, let's remove it. And this means that we have one approach that will work in all cases. It's another one. like, okay, so I'd like to follow this framework and apply it anytime. It doesn't work, unfortunately, or fortunately. I'll say fortunately. So, and you see, it's the reason to move forward, to try to get new knowledge, new experience, because usually you face new challenges, and you need to be better to yeah, to try to get the best results.
Got you. Thank you. Anatoly, one last question. Did I miss, is there any question that I missed to ask you that you think that you would like to answer, for to give value to the audience, something that you want to share?
Mm, Good question. So, probably one thing that you asked at the beginning regarding coaching, mentoring, facilitation.
Mhm,
So, you see, I like approach that is used in many methods and frameworks when we try to remove word manager and replace it with word leader. Because,
mhm,
yeah, talking about managers, we expect managers on the top. Talking about leaders, we can expect leaders on any level. And
mhm,
all such techniques that will help people to produce better value is something that I'll say is mandatory for any kind of leader. So let's see, talking about coaching, I'd like to change it a bit to leadership. So we think about leaders who can help others to grow, to become better. So to get
mhm.
more knowledge, to get more experience, and from my point of view, it's a really important thing.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anatoly, I think we ran out of time. I think that it was a pretty good conversation. If the persons looking at this conversation wants to, they want to keep in touch with you, where can they find you?
Good question. So you see, I have contacts in LinkedIn, Facebook, uh, probably some other uh, social networks, and I check them on regular basis, so I can share these contacts, and you can reach to me without any problem. So, to be honest, you see, I cannot say that I'm the busiest person in the world. I believe that most of us are too busy, but
No, I know.
I like to communicate to people. I like to share my knowledge, experience, and usually I am happy to find time to talk to someone to on any different topics.
Awesome. We will share the your contact, your LinkedIn at least, and if you want to share some other, I will put it on the comments. And I really appreciate you, Anatoly, for taking the time. I know it's late over there, so thank you for being in the channel, and I hope that we can talk again soon.
Hmm. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for invitation.
Thank you. Bye, Anatoly.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. See you in the next video. If you like what you just saw, please subscribe to the channel and give us a like so YouTube promotes this video. And that's it. See you again in the next one.